Hey guys, my name is Relly and today I'm going to be showing you guys how to turn this plain wine tumbler into this. Hope you enjoy.
The first thing you'll need to do is clean the tumblers. I use an alcohol solution with a rag, towel, paper towel of any kind. You just want to make sure you can wipe it down to remove any grease or fingerprints. Once you get a good wipe down, you'll set those aside to dry. And for these tumblers, I used 3 shades of paint per tumbler. I tried to keep them in the same color range, and I didn't have enough green, so I ended up mixing my own third color. Just so you guys know, I did use acrylic paint for this project. Once I was satisfied with that third color, it was time to start painting my tumblers. So if you can arrange them upside down, that is how I create this pattern. I go ahead and stack them on plastic cups. Make sure you also cover the surface you're working on because it will get messy. At this point, you can start pouring paint on the base of the tumbler and continue alternating colors, letting it pour down the side of your tumbler. This is how you create that paint pour pattern. At this point, I gave it a couple minutes to sit so the paint can run down the sides of my tumblers. Now you guys can see the entirety of my tumblers are coated with paint. Again, let it sit and completely dry. When removing your tumblers from whatever you had them stacked on, be very gentle. You don't want the paint to chip. You can see me squeezing the sides of the cups to kind of break away the connection from the paint on the plastic cup to my tumbler. So here's what the cups look like with just the acrylic paint. As you can see on the lip of the cup, there is some paint that traveled onto that edge. I'm gonna get rid of that with a nail buffer. You can definitely use sandpaper or really anything with a rough edge. I just happen to have a nail file or a nail buffer on hand, so that is what I used. When doing this, make sure you're pushing in towards the center and not pulling out because you don't want to chip the paint. As you guys can see, once you make it all the way around, you've got a nice clean edge again. At this point, it's time for my first coat of epoxy. If you guys haven't dealt with epoxy before, it's a 50-50 mix. You stir it completely and then you can go ahead and pour it on your tumblers. I have these tumbler turners from Amazon. I can throw a link in the description, but they work for me beautifully and I love it. I like to call this little thing my finger condom. Funny story, I actually needed to purchase new gloves during the pandemic. And because they were such a hot commodity, it was impossible for me to find some at a reasonable price. So I found these little finger gloves and I've been using them ever since. So this is just another way, I guess, a little less waste, and they do work. I will say it takes a little bit more time because you have to finesse with the epoxy a little bit more to spread it around your mug. But that's, if you guys were curious, that's what I'm using. Again, I'm gonna repeat this process on my second tumbler. With the epoxy, I wait 15 to 30 minutes later, sometimes I repeat this process a couple of times, and I get my blowtorch. I use this to pop any bubbles that might have risen to the surface. Make sure you go quick strokes. You don't want to hold the heat over the epoxy. You don't want any burn marks, or you don't want to melt it too much. In order for the epoxy to completely dry, I wait 24 hours. Go ahead and look at your own packaging for the epoxy to see how long you need to wait. And next, it's time for me to put my decal on. I just cut my decal on my cry cut machine, have it all set up on transfer tape, and I'm centering it on the cup, making sure I get it all on there. Every surface is pressed on before I remove the transfer tape. I don't want any bubbles in my decal. If you guys have any questions about using permanent vinyl or cry cuts, I'm sorry, it is a Cricut machine. I will be sure to post that video above. Alright, so now that we have our decal on, I went ahead and added another coat of epoxy, and here is our final product.
Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.